is Karl Gerber from the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KABC. Good evening to all. Showtime tonight, 7 o'clock p.m. this Saturday. We're going to be having a special episode in which I will be engaged in a gambling game, a high-stake, shirtless dreidel game, and Myron Alfombra Pronounced Matting, but spelled M&M, will be there with a certain auntie that happens to be the soldier's genital. We will be gambling to get the soldier's genital back. If you can believe this, tonight at 7 o'clock on KABC AM790, or you can listen to this channel. And even if you really don't know anything about Hanukkah, and you're not Jewish, that's okay, because this is just going to be a funny show about a crazy guy who is evil, Myron Alfombra Pronounced Matting, but spelled M&M, and he is going to be having a high-stakes, shirtless dreidel game in the parking lot of the Lucky 7 Tarzana Nuru Massage Clinic. And you're going to find out that there is also a golden oil massage awards going on at the Lucky 7 Tarzana, and we're going to be in the parking lot, which is actually Reseda, broadcasting the show at 7 o'clock tonight, Saturday. That's December 2/8/19, the last show of this year. And if you remember last year, on the same weekend, I went to New York, and I went to New Jersey to find Myron Alfombra Pronounced Matting, but spelled M&M, and he was supposed to lay off some of that evil stuff, but it didn't happen. So tonight, 7 o'clock. Anyone giving a thumbs down on a show announcement, I just want to say, I feel sorry for you, and I feel sorry for anyone who is giving thumbs down on YouTube. If you're expecting to tune into jack-off material, that's not what this is about. This is comedy, people. It's over-the-top, outrageous comedy. It's a commentary on society, politics, things like that. Yes, we have things that relate to sex in the show, and if I don't have things that relate to sex in the show, I gotta tell you, you don't get 100,000 people a month listening to this thing, and some shows, randomly there's 60,000 people, and the one about Santa's Village and the funny things with the elves just didn't have the same momentum as some of this other stuff. So this is not a show about sex, and if you're just a pervert tuning in to get some kind of, inside skinny about neuromassages or phone sex operators, well, you've come to the wrong place. Yeah, these people are in the show, but they're in the show because this is comedy, okay? So we don't have pictures of women. If you're listening, you're not going to see naked pictures. That's not what this is about. This is about comedy, political comedy, and it's about the workplace. And there is some talk about employment law. So it's a very funny show, and we have people listening from all over the country on these sound sharing sites. The percent of people listening from the United States is probably only 30% when it comes to the internet. Now, for Southern California, the KABC signal goes far. Lots of people are listening, and if this show is too hip for you, just don't listen, okay? If you don't have the intellect for it, don't listen. If you're a diehard Republican and you can't take the jokes, don't listen. But, we make some jokes about Democrats and liberals, too, so it's not just a political bashing show. So try to be mature about it. It doesn't really, it just doesn't really say much about you. If you're listening to a live stream on a show announcement and you give it a thumbs down, we had one like that last week, and I'm like, what the hell? What kind of a loser would do that anyways? And I don't know if it was the topic, a woman who orgasms 180 times a day because of PGAD, which is probably caused by a cyst in someone's back. I don't know if they expected to tune in and get jack-off material, but, Like, this is an announcement telling you when the show's going to be tonight, 7 o'clock. Saturday night, KBC, AM790. Okay, it's also going to be broadcast on the Karl Gerber with a K channel if you're listening to now. So there's no reason to give a thumbs down to a show announcement. And what's sad about those losers that do things like that, when we get those, we end up with these incredibly large numbers of people listening on the ones that some loser that, I don't know, doesn't get it, whatever, gives it a thumbs down. This last week's episode, I mean, I can't tell you how many people heard it, and it was right before Christmas, and we didn't even get the official version out until Friday because of the holidays, and someone who helps me post this stuff was sick, and so it went up and it got tons of people listening to it right away. And so it's an odd phenomenon with some of these topics that we have. I don't know if they're too much for people. I don't know if people are expecting to see naked women. I don't know what it is, but you need to kind of get with the game because a lot of people do like the show. It has a very large audience and it's getting bigger and bigger. And KABC, which is a conservative talk station, is hip enough to put this show on when they think the most number of people are going to listen on the weekend. They've been pretty right on about that. And so they want a little balance on the station. They want this show because it's over the top, it's outrageous. There's nothing else like it on commercial radio. And it is a complete balance to some of the other content they have. And so you need to kind of just listen to it, follow the series because this is episode 89. It's every single week. It's a new script. Next week, I'm going to tell you, Remus Helms, the most important man in Sun Valley, California, will be on the show. And the pretext is we'll be talking about the labor laws for 2020 that go into effect. But as you can probably imagine, we're not really going to be dwelling on that too long. Remus Helms is going to have some kind of really bizarre situation. So tonight we're going to be on at 7 o'clock, okay? Saturday, 12/28/19, and next week we're going to be on Saturday at 7. I'm not sure about the 11th of January because there is going to be a UCLA-USC football game which will preempt the regular 7 o'clock Saturday time slot for the show. And when that happens on the 11th of January, I'm going to choose, and the station is going to choose, a time slot during the weekend that's going to have maximum listeners. Because if they're maximum listeners, and some of them are not your normal KBC listeners, they seem to like the show, and they seem to stay listening to it for a solid 15 minutes or up to an hour. So we need to have this show on for maximum exposure, and people do seem to like it. But if you don't, just don't listen to it. Or, separately contact me and tell me what you don't like about it, because I would be interested in knowing who these people are that don't like the show. And I don't want to dwell on that too much because a lot of people do like it, but it's just troublesome when you put together a really good show and you go to a lot of effort and just some random person doesn't like it. And maybe it's too much like watching social media like what that impeached individual does. But it's something that I'd like you to actually give this a like if you like it. I'd like you to subscribe. The subscribers will know about the show times, and they'll get a notification when the show is going to be on at a time that's not the regular time. So tonight, 7 o'clock, Myron Alfombra, pronounced Matting, but spelled M&M, is going to actually be in the show. It's very funny. It's a high-stakes shirtless dreidel game in the back parking lot of the Lucky 7 Tarzana Nuru Massage Clinic, which we know is really in Reseda. So tune in tonight. Enjoy the show. It's not really about Hanukkah. It's about an absurd pretext, the most ridiculous thing someone can come up with. And you're going to find out that there's some felons that are being let out of prison for this high-stakes game, such as Bertie Madoff and Phil Spector. So that's what's going to be tonight at 7 o'clock, KBC, AM 790, Talk Radio, Los Angeles, Southern California, the Karl Gerber with K channel you're listening to. See you and hear from you tonight.